Okay, so we're gonna do a weekend update video, and then I'll post another video about Monday, and then another video about Tuesday, since I'm behind because Wi-Fi problems, and I've been trying to upload like one video about my walk to school for like 3 days. YouTube didn't tell me it was too long, and so it was frustrating. Anyways, the weekend. So last Friday, which was day 6, I went to a concert for free in the plaza, and it was really cool. Actually, no, it was day 7. Day 7 was Friday. And it was a bunch of rock bands. So basically, there was this big art festival that Salamanca throws, I think, pretty much every year. Correct me if I'm wrong, those of you from Salamanca that are watching my vlog. But I'm pretty sure that they put it on every year, and there's usually 2 or 3 free concerts and then like a dance festival. But there was, the first night was Friday, and I went to that because a band that I like, which is called M Clan, was playing, and they're awesome. So if you're into like foreign popish rock, it's like U2 and it's like U2 and Green Day and like the Goo Goo Dolls all had a baby, and that's the kind of like the vibe aesthetic that they're shooting for. So they're a rock band basically. And I super like them. And then there were 2 opening bands that I'd never heard of before, Radio Lulu, and then oh gosh, Solania I think was the other one, and they were both really good too, but M Clan was definitely the highlight. I was front row, right of the stage, right next to the speakers, and they're loud. They're very loud. So the next day I couldn't hear very well. But that's okay because I had a great time, and I met up with some people from the Hawaii group who are here with the same program that I'm here with. We all had a good time, and I got a t-shirt. It was cool. So that was Friday. And then Saturday, we took a day trip. This was our first big excursion out of Salamanca. So last week was our first week, so that was our first excursion out of the city. And so we went to Segovia and Avila, which are the next 2 counties over, the way that they're 2 provinces, because I guess we're technically in a state. So basically the way Spain is set up is it's got the equivalent of states, and so like we're in the state, if you will, of Castilla y León, and they have the state of Aragon y Zaragoza and like things like that. So we're in the state of Castilla y León, and within that state there are different provinces, kind of like there are different counties in like the states in the United States, and so we're in the province of Salamanca right now, and then the next province over is Avila, and province just right of that is Segovia. So we went to Segovia and Avila last Saturday. We started with Segovia in the morning, and we spent most of the day there. We saw the Roman aqueduct, which was built when the Romans arrived in Spain and needed to get water to the city. All of you, I'm sure, know very well how aqueducts work, and I don't think you want to hear me give a history lesson about aqueducts, because that would be boring, and that's not what this is about. So, the aqueduct was actually in use in Segovia until 1950, so it's really, really well preserved, and so that was really neat to see, and like we got a little mini history lesson. And then we toured the city with a guide who had she was really nice. She had a little microphone, and there was a big group of us that were following her around the city. We got to see a ton of stuff while we were there, and there was actually a castle that we got to go into. And that castle, not all the stuff that was there was the originals. It was a multi-purpose castle for a very long time. Just throughout history, it was like a prison, and then it was like a training camp for soldiers, and then it was an actual castle, and like a prince or some kind of king lived there, and then I think in the 1900s there was a fire, and so they lost a lot of stuff, but they turned it into a museum, and then in like the 1900s and there was a fire, and so they lost a lot of the original stuff from the castle. So they've been as they've been renovating and like trying to bring it back, they've shipped stuff in from around Spain, different castles around Spain that kind of from the same era, so you get the feel for it, but they're not actual like legit. So that was kind of cool. And then we had some free time in Segovia, and so my friend Amanda and I tried to go in and see the cathedral, but we weren't about to pay €3 to go see the inside of that cathedral, so we just kind of stood inside where it was nice and cool, and peered around because you could kind of see the cathedral from where we were standing as you entered in, like the lobby area, kind of like where they set up the ticket booth. You can kind of see most of the church, and so it was gorgeous. And I kind of wish I'd paid the €3 to go in and see it, but that's okay. So that was the first part of the day, and then the second. So we left Segovia around. We met in the plaza in Segovia around 2:30, and then we walked to the bus. The bus picked us up about 3, and then I think it was a 40-minute bus ride, maybe it was an hour back to Avila, which is the next county over from Salamanca, and so we drove about 4-ish hours on Saturday. So we drove an hour from Segovia to Avila, and then an hour from Salamanca, from Avila to Salamanca, excuse me. So in total it was about 4 hours, if you count the 2.5 hours to get to, or the 2 hours to get to Segovia from the start at Salamanca in the morning. In Avila is like a walled, it's a really, really old city, and it still has all like the walls with the parapets on it. It still has all that still, is still standing, and so we got to walk about 1 kilometer along that wall, which was really neat. There's a really pretty view of like the outside portion of the city where most of the people live, and they're renovating the internal portion of the city, because I think that's a UNESCO site too. So it's really cool. I had a fun time. And what's really cool is like as we're entering like the middle part of our second week, everyone's kind of super comfortable with each other, and like we've started to do stuff outside classes, and like we have a lot to talk about now, so everyone's kind of starting to become friends, and it's really cool. I'm having a good time. So that was on Saturday, and then there was an optional excursion that you could pay for that was to this place called Peña de Francia, which is about an hour-ish from where I am currently sitting, which would be in my bedroom. And that's basically a mountain. What? Okay, so that's basically a mountain, and basically the history behind this mountain is it was a gift to a princess from her betrothed, on their wedding day or something. So now whoever marries me has standards to live up to, because I'm expecting a mountain for a wedding present. I don't know what I'm going to do with this mountain, but I expect it. Those are some high standards to meet. But anyways, this is beside the point. And I now expect a mountain as a wedding gift for my husband. Anyways. So the top of this mountain is a 360-degree view of the surrounding valley, which is it's amazing. And there were mountain goats that we got to get super close to, which was really, really interesting, because I didn't think about it until we were leaving, and I was like, people probably come here all the time, because there's like a church on top, and there's like a gift shop and like a cafe, and so it's a tourist site basically, but there's like hiking trails, and so we hiked like one of the trails, and we ate lunch on some rocks. We were super duper naturing it up in the Spanish countryside, which was pretty fun actually. I had a good time. And before that, we left about 10 o'clock from Salamanca and got to this little town about 40 minutes away from the top of the mountain. It's like right near the base. It's like 10 minutes from the base of that mountain, and then like it's another 40 minutes up the mountain, obviously by bus. Or not even 40 minutes, it's like maybe 20. I don't know. I'm estimating. We were on a slow bus. So we get to this little town called Alberca, and it's probably the size of, I can't even describe to you, it's probably the size of like 2 large high schools is probably just how big it is. It's very, very tiny. It's also a UNESCO protected site, so it's a human heritage site, so they can't change anything about the town. They just have to make sure like the monuments and stuff are kept up with, and like it's still a tourist area. And they had just, so Sunday was 60 days after Easter, and since Spain is a heavily Catholic country, and it's a really small town, everyone there's Catholic, obviously, and so they celebrated, I wish I could remember what it's called, but I can't remember what it's called, but it's a celebration of like the 60 days after Easter, and I can't recall the whole story, and I'm sure those of you watching know kind of what I'm talking about, but it was the day after that festival, and so they were cleaning up like the stuff in the road, like the flowers and like the altars and stuff, and they were hanging white blankets and sheets out of their, like, off their balconies, out their windows. And so all of us were really confused. We were like, what's going on? Why are they hanging white sheets? I mean, it was gorgeous. It was really cool. Because all those sheets were white and they had different designs on them. And it was really pretty. But we were like, I wonder why this is happening. And so we went to a museum, but we'll get to that later. That was actually really cool too. But later on in the day, while we were in Alberca, they were going to have a processional from into the main church in kind of the center of the town, where they were going to pay like homages, if you will, to like the church. But anyways, this is going to be two-parter, so I'm going to wrap this up real quick. So, oh god, this is too much pressure.